Hey, what's up guys? Today we have this matte wrap Tesla in the shop. You guys may have seen this vehicle on our channel before. However, the owner of this car, his lease is finally due, which means that we have to pull off this wrap before we turn it in. Alright guys, so now that the wrap is fully removed, we're going to inspect the paint, figure out what it needs, and give it the love that it deserves before we turn it back in. So stay tuned. So upon removing the wrap, we've noticed that there was a lot of leftover adhesive residue left from peeling off the wrap, which looks very nasty on the paint. So the first thing that we did was fully remove all that stuff from the paint so that we can get it ready for the paint correction stage, because this is going to require a polish. Now, just from looking at it after, without wiping it down, without doing anything to it, you can see that there's some pretty definite scratches in there, swirl marks, you have some holograms. Whenever the car gets wrapped, whatever's underneath is gonna get preserved in that specific way. So if there's scratches, swirls, they're not disappearing, guys, they're staying there, you're just hiding them for the time being. And now when you take off the wrap, guess what? Boom, they're back. So to begin this process, the first thing that I did was wiped it down with some Wipeout. Now, Wipeout is a surface cleanser, so it's gonna remove any kind of oils, waxes, sealants. When they were removing the wrap, there were a ton of little fingerprints all over the car. So before you do any kind of clay barring, polishing, you want to make sure that your surface is as clean as possible. So the first thing we did was wiped it out with the Wipeout to remove all of that stuff and to get it prepped for the next stage, which is clay bar. So moving on, we have our original clay bar, which is a nice mixture between a light and a medium clay bar. Now the reason I chose this clay bar is because this paint, it's not so bad. It had a matte wrap on it, which means that the actual paint was being preserved by the sacrificial wrap. So the underneath paint was actually pretty well intact. So the paint was actually pretty smooth for what it was. However, those scratches were on there, and we do want to make sure that we remove any type of embedded contamination before we get into any kind of polishing. So after we clay bar the surface, we moved on to polishing. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that we were on a time crunch. We didn't have the luxury of having the entire day to work on this vehicle. Of course, I would have loved to do a full thorough paint correction. However, when time is of the essence, that's when you have a product like VSS. And VSS is a one-step scratch and swirl remover. So you can use it to remove, most light to moderate light scratches, swirls, imperfections, holograms, water spots, and much more in one single step. Now, I paired it with the Torque 15DA polisher and the orange Hexologic cutting pad because this is a great combination between machine, pad, and cutting agent in order to give you the perfect one-step result and shine. And as you guys can see right here, just with hitting it with the one step with VSS, you'll see that the right side right here has a lot more depth and clarity versus the left side, which is still very hazy, it's oxidized, and it doesn't look so great. So after hitting the entire vehicle with VSS and this combination of products, we came back all the way around and hit it with some Black Light Glaze. Now, I did mention that we were on a time crunch, so we didn't have the luxury of doing a full, ceramic coating and all that good stuff. So, whenever you're faced with these kind of challenges, you got to work with what you've got. So in that case, we've used our Black Light Glaze. And for you guys that don't know, Black Light is a hybrid radiant glaze that fills in light scratches, swirl marks, and adds a ton of depth to any kind of dark colored paintwork. So whether it be black, dark silver, charcoal, navy blue, you name it, if you have a dark car, slap it on and it gives you incredible results in the shortest amount of time and with the least amount of work possible. And the great thing about it is that you can actually apply it by hand or by machine. So if you wanted to, in this case, I applied it with my machine. So I used my Torque 15DA, paired it with the blue finishing pad, put about 5 dime-sized drops on my pad, and I let the machine just apply a nice even coat throughout the entire paintwork. And this pretty much allows you to utilize your machine to the maximum of its potential and save you time and effort from doing it by hand. So one thing about Black Light Glaze is that once you've covered your entire vehicle with the coat, you want to let that sit from anywhere from about 10 to 15 minutes for it to properly bond onto the surface. So after those 10 to 15 minutes, grab yourself a premium microfiber towel, buff off the excess of the product, and unveil the incredible shine. Now, one thing I highly recommend you do, instead of just applying the glaze and just letting it sit as is, you want to layer it with the protectant. Now, since at this point of the process, we've already spent most of our time doing the paint correction and applying all these products to it, now we just want to do something that's going to protect the paint and be extremely fast for us to apply. And for that reason, I chose our Blazin Banana spray wax. Now, if you guys haven't used our Blazin Banana spray wax, you guys are missing out. This is the easiest and the most incredible spray wax you'll ever use in your life. Now, this spray wax applies in seconds and gives you that warm, deep CARNAUBA shine that you expect from a cream wax, only in a sprayable form. And it's so easy to use. Simply spray the surface, wipe it right off, and achieve those instant shine results. And the awesome thing about it is that you can apply it on virtually all smooth, glossy exterior surfaces. So whether it be your paint, use it on your glass, wheels, chrome, headlights, tail lights, and much more. All right, guys, so at this point of the process, we're pretty much done as far as like what we were gonna do with the paint, and we did find ourselves with just a little bit of extra time to pay attention to the details, because remember, you wanna make sure you pay attention to those details. That's what's really gonna set this car apart from any other on the street. So the first thing that we did pay attention to were the wheels. So we did wipe down the wheels. They do have matte finish wheels, so I wiped it down with some Meticulous matte detail spray, just kind of give them a nice little cleaning and a nice little layer of protection. I topped off the tires with some BRP dressing, so that when we turn it back in, you know, whoever's inspecting the car, it's like a brand new car all over again. And that pretty much wraps it up for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to give us a like, subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you guys like these interviews type kind of videos, let us know in the comment section and we will do more for you. And one last thing before we go, I want you guys to comment down below in the comment section what you prefer, the matte wrap style or this amazing gloss shine. My name is Joey, this is Chemical Guys Detail Garage, and I'll see you guys next time. Woo!